Well, hello, NFT NYC community. We're going to have a conversation that I think many of you are going to be intrigued by. Hope many of you will join us April 12th to the 14th at NFT NYC. I want to introduce you to a friend that is leading the charge on music royalties. And is there a more important utility to talk about when it comes to content creators? So looking forward to learning from you. For those that don't know who you are or what you do at your company, Halleluiah, please introduce yourself to all of us and we'll jump in and I'll ask you a few questions.
All right. Thank you so much. So basically, just pleased to be here. My background is music. I've done music in New York. That's where I kicked off my musical career in Manhattan for a decade. It was the accomplishment of a dream for a boy from Tiberias, Israel, by the Lake of Galilee. And that was an incredible experience. But what I've learned with this passage of my life is that models are not so great, to say the least, right? And obviously, there's nothing that I could do at the time. I was 30, between 20 and 30. So I basically quitted to investment banking, which I've done back in Tel Aviv. I've returned to Israel to do that for another decade. And at 40, I've basically considered what would be a good conversation. And I went back on what I could do, where I could serve, and for me to enable or to offer an alternative for music copyrights, the actual assets of the music industry, a $50 billion market, that would be something to wake up to, right? Worth waking up to.
Yes.
So that's Halleluiah, formed 24 months ago, and basically preparing to launch the platform, and that's all I can say for now.
For Halleluiah, tell us clearly the problem that's being solved, because I get the sense that a lot of people in the NFT NYC community, they might hear about problems in the music industry. Usually it's from their favorite celebrity that's really angry and goes on Twitter to kind of blast Universal or Warner. But they probably don't have a real understanding of what musicians are facing because they're thoughtful of a DAO or a art project or some, gaming approach. So can you just give us an idea? What's the problem that musicians are facing? What's the problem bands are facing? What's the problem that anybody involved in that arena, especially around royalties, are currently facing? And how is Halleluiah providing a solution for that problem?
Right. So being very general about this, every song that is born, right, it needs to be played so many times in order to get to $1, right?
Right.
So if you put the numbers out, if you own all the copyrights of your production of your song, right, you need to reach about 500 streams with a major streaming platform to get to $1. Now, in New York, rent is around average one bedroom would be around $4,000. Correct me if I'm wrong. You would need right? How many streams you would need to just pay the rent? Not right. No utilities, no food, no good bagel with salmon, right? Just rent.
Right.
So that's where we are, and the reason for that is because music, unlike art, as we've experienced, we were talking about NFTs. So what we've experienced with NFTs is basically that you have a certain amount of units in the collection, right? So you have a certain amount of apes, certain amount of bulls, certain amount of items. So therefore, there is a very significant look at how many are available, and therefore there's value to it, right? With music, it's very different. So you just release a song and it's available for infinity, right? You can play it as many times as you want, and therefore the value is so low, right? So therefore, if it's so low, then there's a battle to reach as many streams or plays as possible, right? And we're kind of looking at it from a different direction, where when you release a song as an artist, you can make a determination that's new. to basically say, I want my song to be available for 100,000 times before it will actually extinct, right? And that basically is a game changer for the industry, because even if Spotify will pay $1 per stream, right? There's still, obviously they can't, because then their model is already tough for them as a company as it is.
Yes.
But even if they'll pay everything they gain, right, it's still not going to be enough.
No.
And I think the problem is not with how much Spotify is going to pay, or how much Universal is going to deduct. Obviously, the or the middlemans in the process of the financial mechanism are not helping artists to make more money, obviously. That's one of the problems. But I think the bigger problem is that songs are basically, in today's world, it's like just like the grain of the sand, right? You can hear every song for free today, and basically, in our point of view to it, we can play with that. I mean, that's an area where we can kind of say, as the owner of the copyrights, because the copyrights are the building blocks of actual assets, you can basically determine that you limit the cap of listens that you actually issue with your song. And with NFTs, it's actually a perfect marriage. Right? Smart contracts were made for that.
Yes.
And transparency and fairness to the owner of the rights, not the ambassador or the label or the publisher in that sense. You kind of change the game a little bit. So we have to change a gear, or to switch a gear, not only with how we entertain technology for music, but also how we kind of break models or alter models that are clearly not working for the artist. And if they're not working for the artist, obviously the play to earn is so not giving what an artist needs to keep on recording music on and on.
Right.
And that's what we're looking at. So we're going extreme to what considered to be common or considered to be ordained in the industry, and we're kind of playing outside the courtyard of what is known within the music industry.
Can you tell us a bit more about leveraging a smart contract for music copyright? So what's available to a musician right now, and what is coming? Like, what should they be anticipating is coming? And should they be rethinking the way that they approach distribution and their contracts based on what is to come?
So basically, we have reviewed over 300 different projects that, incorporate smart contract with music copyrights. Great projects like Royal and Adios and many other great projects that really helped the evolution that we are in the midst of. And the first thing we're looking at is that with smart contract, artists can be their boss for the first time. Now, maybe artists are not ready to be their CEOs, right?
Right.
Maybe artists will like to relinquish all the power to the record label. We still see that. And say, I would like to be served with a cup of tea when I'm recording, right? They want to be served. So artists have the ability now to switch hats, right? They can change their seat. So from a position of just recording or just looking at music from a very narrow perspective, they get to see themselves as a corporate, right? And therefore, a lot of things need to happen in order for ideas like ours, or a project like ours, to achieve fulfillment.
Right.
And that's why we cater it first and foremost to artists that understand the value of power and freedom, two assets that we care deeply about, not only with music, but in the general aspect of human beings living in the world. We see it through music and the music industry, and we care to give that to musicians and say to them, perhaps you are ready to onboard yourself as the owner of the copyright. You are the intellectual property vessel
Right.
to the music we hear and enjoy. So we see it from a very straightforward state of mind.
Yeah.
Some may look at it as spiritual. We see it as fundamental. If you brought something into the world, you need to be able to not only vessel it in the world, but also to actually enjoy the fact that you were that person to write, compose, perform the song. The three copyrights that are the major blocks within the music industry. So they can change everything about what they know, right? For now, for instance, the societies in the United States of America, for instance, which is a part of a hive of 228 different societies around the world, right? They converse with each other. And they basically decide how much you're going to get paid if your song is played at C100, right? You don't have any voice there, right? You are going to be told that you will be making 60 cents for your song being played, and you might want to say, I would like to get paid according to what I think I want to get paid. If it's an asset, intellectual property is an asset. In every other dominion of art, you get to say how much you want to get paid. With music, you are being told how much you're going to get paid, and we think we can levitate there. So that's just one idea around it. We can speak about this for 3 hours, and still I'll have a breath in my. I'll have some breath to share more. But I think just for your question, I think think how you can imagine things that are not really available today, based on the fact that the model are very rigid and structured.
Yes. Well, I'm going to share my screen so that everybody knows what's cooking in terms of you sharing more details on this topic. You'll be on the entertainment stage at 1:15 p.m. on Wednesday. Halleluiah, music copyrights becoming smart contracts. Give a little insight. Why should people come listen to your talk? And who are you hoping to meet? Like, who should come up to you and say, hey, I saw the conversation with Ian. You said you wanted to meet. That's me. I'd love to connect with you. So why don't you give a bit of insight in terms of what you're going to talk about and who you'd like to connect with?
Well, I'm going to talk about music copyrights in the era we're stepping into, right? And we're going to speak about music copyrights, first of all, to musicians, right? People who understand music copyright the most. We are also keen to respect conversation with people that can accommodate new thought within what is known as music, the music industry. So it could be VCs, it could be advisors, it could be PR agencies, it could be basically anyone who can join our family, right? So anyone that sees them fit, obviously, will be great conversation. As I said to you in the beginning of recording this, we're interested to ask, to find people and speak with people that have great questions about what we do, because great questions are a good door to good answers. Yeah. And we're always on that loop, right? We're always interrogating ourselves. We're looking at what we do. We having incredible conversation with great people. The best conversation I've had are from when I was 41 to today, when I basically started Halleluiah. The best people, the best conversation, the best talks. Yeah. And I've been around, right? So, so I'm just happy to say that anyone who can invite a good conversation, we're happy to converse with them. And you know, it's abracadabra. We speak, it happens. It's matters through words. We speak with people. We create our space. And after 20 years, almost 20 years of not being in New York or in the States, that's going to be a trip for me. That's my personal tripping to be able to come back to where I was reborn through what I've done for a decade. So I'm super excited.
Well, we're looking forward to having you share. We're very happy to have you be part of the program and part of the event. I'm thankful that you jumped on with me for this conversation. So this has been
Yes.
very good, because I'm always wondering where are things at with NFTs regarding music, and are people thinking through everything, not just access to the musician or tickets to the concert or access to the song? Are they thinking through copyrights? Are they thinking through licensing? Are they thinking through ownership? Are they thinking through automation and the ability to what will happen as this stuff scales? And you've given a lot of insight on that. I know you will more in a couple weeks at our event. So thank you so much for jumping in.
Thank you.
Absolutely. For anybody that watched our conversation, thank you for your attention. I'll be back again with another conversation like this soon. And until then, everybody.